Welcome back to Technique WOD. My name is Doug Larson with the Barbell Shrug Podcast, and this is Alex Macklin. He's one of our faction and barbell shrug weightlifting coaches. He also helps coach in the 6-month Muscle Gain Challenge. Today we're going to go over how to get into a perfect snatch starting position. So first, Alex is going to show you what his snatch looks like, just to show you how beautiful it looks. Add some credibility to this guy. Don't f it up, Alex. There you go. We're going to go over how Alex approaches the bar and where he stands and his foot position, and then we're going to go into a starting position. So if Alex approaches the bar, you see Alex puts the bar right where his toes start. So his shins aren't right up against the bar quite yet. There's a little gap between the bar and all this dog hair right here. So it's right over his toes. His feet are about hip width apart. How wide you stand will vary depending on who you are, and we'll actually talk about that at the very end. So he's not all the way up against the bar, and then he's going to go ahead and squat down. We're not going to talk about grip width on the bar. We actually have a separate video for that. But Alex grabs with a nice hook grip. Everyone knows what hook grip is. You reach around and grab your thumb, and then go ahead and get into a perfect starting position, and we'll talk about each specific thing. So you can see with Alex, his shoulders are back. His hip is about the same height as his knee. His knee is out over his toe. His arms are nice and straight. And his shoulder is basically right above the bar, or maybe even slightly in front of the bar. Okay, so go ahead and take a quick break, Alex. So basically we're going to go through each of those things one by one. I'll show you what it looks like when you're doing it incorrectly, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you're doing it correctly. So go ahead and hop back down. All right, so he's in a perfect position right now. His shoulders are back, going around your shoulders forward. See how his shoulders are rolled forward and they're kind of disconnected and they're not very stable. Now go ahead and pull them back together. Now his shoulders are back. He's in a better position. So that's point number one, shoulders back. Point number two, actually we didn't mention this the first time, he has a nice straight low back. If he rounds excessively, if he's all rounded over like that, that's good. That's obviously not a good thing to do. So go ahead and pull it back all the way straight. There you go. Now he has a nice straight spine. Hips are down. His hip is about the same level as his knee. If he pops his hips up way too high, like he's doing a bad deadlift, now his back's round also, you don't want to be there when you're doing a snatch. You want your hip, when you're pulling snatches, you want your hip to be about the same level as your knee, maybe slightly above it, but definitely not like a deadlift where your hip is well above your knee. You're going to have to push your knees forward a little bit and pull your hip down to almost the same height as your knee. All right, now that Alex is rested, go ahead and get back down in that position one more time. Into a good starting position. So you can see Alex's shoulder is right above the bar, or maybe even slightly in front of it. He's covering the bar. His shoulders aren't behind the bar. He's not leaning back quite yet. He wants his shoulders in front of the bar, and as we go through the lift, he's going to keep his shoulders in front of the bar as long as possible, only bring them behind the bar at the last possible second. So go ahead and get back into a good position. Again, hips as high as the knee, shoulders are slightly in front of the bar, arms are straight, there's no slack in his elbows. Go ahead and bend your elbows a little bit. There's no slack in his elbows like that. And then actually, see if you come around front, thank you. Go ahead and posture up, get your elbows all the way straight. There you go, beautiful. Last thing, heels are on the ground, or last two things, heels are on the ground, and his foot isn't collapsed because his knees are pushed out. So two things, if you have bad ankle mobility or you're just not used to getting into this position, or just not used to being in this position for a long time like Alex, his legs are burning. So if he has poor ankle mobility or just isn't used to being this low, two things might happen. His knee might dive in, both knees might dive in like that, which you don't want to do that. It could be a lot worse than that, but Alex is sparing his knees here. So knee out is a good thing. And then finally, if your heels pop up off the ground, go ahead and get on your toes a little bit. If your heels are off the ground like that, that's also not a good thing. You're not going to be as powerful with your knee, or with your heels rather, off the ground like that. So go ahead and put them back down and get into a good starting position one last time. Shoulders are back, back is tight. Hips are down, about the same level as his knee. Shoulders are in front of the bar, elbows are straight, knees are out over his toes, basically where his thigh is at the same angle as his foot, and his heels are on the ground. That's what you get for doing doubles and singles all the time. He's gonna have to take a walk to catch his breath. Depending on your body type, you're going to set up slightly differently. So I have a short torso and longer limbs, and I'm not a tall person, but I'm taller than Alex is, so I set up a little bit different. For me, if I set up in the exact same position Alex does, with my feet semi-straight ahead, toed out just a little bit, and I only grab, maybe an inch outside of this little hash mark here, then for me, my knees are gonna get in the way, and I'm gonna bump the bar against my shins. I have to grab all the way wide, and then I have to toe out a little more and push my knees out even further, like this. That way, as I come off the floor, my knees are wide enough where they get out of the way of the bar. So I toe out more than Alex does for the most part, and I push my knees even wider, and I grab wider. Grabbing wider picks the bar up a little bit higher, because I have long arms. It would hit too low if I didn't. And if I didn't push my knees out of the way, then I would have to move the bar around my knees, which is bad weightlifting technique. So depending on who you are, you can put little tweaks on that, but those are the main core concepts for getting into a perfect starting position. Okay. We have other videos on the first pull, the transition, the second pull, the catch, and the recovery. If you want to check out those videos, you can go to barbellshrug.com and click on the Technique WOD videos, and you can watch them there.